Bar Side Movie Reviews.
All right. All right. So I said that I was going to do a martial arts breakdown video of some of the moves we see in Into the Badlands. And I'm doing this for a couple of different reasons. This video is going to be really, really short, but stay with it because I think at the end of it, I'll give you some things to look for. And maybe if you didn't understand some things about what you're seeing in terms of the fight, choreography, or some of the movements, shed a little bit of light on that. But I want to start by showing you guys my favorite, well, one of my favorite fight scenes from this whole series. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll get into breaking down some of the movements, and we'll talk some of the stuff that goes on with a lot of the cool weapons that we see in this show as well. So, all right, let's take a look at this clip. Oh, it's awesome. Let's check it out.
You lost, stranger?
Nomads ambushed a transporter a couple miles back. Killed all the cogs, except one.
We don't deal in human cargo here. What's your interest?
Transport belonged to my baron.
Check it out, boys. We got a real live clipper here. Don't you dogs usually travel in packs?
What's in the trunk?
It's none of your damn business.
All right, you guys, so I just wanted to show you that because I thought it would be cool and to give you guys a little bit of an idea, if this is your first time seeing this video, what the fighting is like in Into the Badlands. So the thing about Into the Badlands is, if you think that the martial arts fighting is a highlight of that show, you would be completely wrong. If anything, I would say that it's really a compliment to how powerful the stories are in this show. The narratives, the character build, the dynamic that's going on with the different players in this series is really what makes this show so good. So the martial arts aspect is really in addition to all of that, but it is one of the things that makes the show very unique. So one of the reasons I'm doing this video is because I was answering a question about this show on Quora, and I heard someone say that the martial arts aspect of this show weren't really real. They call it like movie foo. So they were saying that the movements really weren't anything practical. It was really just stuff done for the for the audience and for the viewers to really just kind of ooh and ah over the dynamics of the fight sequences that you see here. And for sure, there is some stuff going on here that's over the top. There's no question about that. I mean, you can see that from what we saw, but that's okay because it really builds the power of the fight sequences in the show, which makes it unique from a lot of other shows that we see on TV or streaming. Iron Fist, take a cue from what you saw. But these moves are legit. These are real martial arts moves. Now there's some wire work and all that kind of good stuff, and AMC doesn't try to hide that. You can go and you can look at some behind the scenes footage of what's going on when they're choreographing some of this stuff. But what I want to do is I want to highlight just some of the things here so that you can see that there is some authenticity here with the martial arts. So let's take a look first at, let's cover weapons first, and I want to share some things with you. So let's take a look at this picture here. All right, you guys, so real quickly, let's talk about weapons. Sorry, I can't get my cursor to work like I wanted to. It should be highlighting, but I'm not going to take a whole bunch of time fooling around with that. But notice the weapons here that Sonny has in his hands, or the weapon. So he has a broadsword in his hand. You can tell that by that tip there. You can see that tip is broad. And what I want to point out is notice his opposite hand. So here's what's cool about this when I look at this show is they do try and stay pretty close to authentic martial arts, even when they're wielding the weapons. Now, of course, they're taking some license, you guys. I'm not trying to say that they're not. Of course they are, with some of the movements that they do. But check this out. So, Sonny has the broadsword in his hand, and look at his other hand. Now, here's something that you guys may or may not know. If you're into martial arts or you're a practitioner, you know this, that offhand always mimics the weapon in what I call the lead hand. So, the broadsword is not really a piercing weapon, even though you could use it that way, but it's more of a slashing weapon. It's more of a cutting weapon. So that weapon is an extension of his arm. It's all one unit there, and that's the philosophy behind wielding a weapon like the broadsword. And that opposite hand, you guys, always mimics the weapon in the lead hand, and that's why his hand is like that. Now, when I've learned to use the broadsword, I actually have my thumb tucked under, but it still looks like a chopping hand, almost like if I was going to do a karate chop or something like that. Again, because it's mimicking the weapon in the lead hand. So a lot of times, even when you strike with this hand, it will also strike with kind of a chopping motion because, like I said, it's mimicking the weapon in the lead hand. Now, you might switch it up. This might turn into a punch, or it might turn into some kind of alternate strike, but for the most part, when you're using a broadsword, that other hand is mimicking the weapon as well. So it's like really you have two swords in both hands. And it's cool because when you look at this in the series, they stay fairly true to this. I mean, there will be some other times where that offhand is not necessarily mimicking the weapon, and that's cool, but I like the fact that they really do try to represent the martial arts, or the Chinese martial arts, in pretty much of an authentic way. And don't get me wrong, you do see some mixed martial arts here in this as well, which is cool, but they do try and stay very close to authenticity when it relates to Chinese martial arts. And that's a big deal for a series like this because they don't really give you a hodgepodge of a lot of different stuff. Most of what we see here looks like Chinese martial arts, and I take my hat off to them for that. Now, let's check this image out of my girl, the Widow. All right, you guys, so let's talk the Widow. And I thought it would be cool to do her weapon because she normally wields a weapon that's opposite of Sonny. So you can see here, she has the straight sword. You can see there's the edge right there, but check out her opposite hand. Remember what I said before, that offhand always mimics the weapon in the lead hand. Now the difference between the straight sword and the broadsword is that the straight sword is a piercing weapon. It is kind of like a thrusting weapon. So it's designed to go through its target. So it makes sense now, right, that when you see these two fingers, if you've ever wondered why those two fingers are held that way, it's because, again, that offhand is mimicking the weapon in the lead hand. And these fingers are meant for kind of thrusting attacks. They hit soft targets a lot of the times, like eyes, maybe the throat, the temple, or maybe under the throat, around the neck area, targets like that. That's what they're designed to hit. And again, it's mimicking the weapon in the lead hand. So that's pretty cool how they keep consistent with this. And as I said before, not all the way through, but again, this show does a really good job of having you understand the nature of the martial arts that you're seeing, and it's pretty consistent. So it doesn't feel like at one minute you're looking at Muay Thai and the next minute you're looking at Kung Fu. It pretty much all feels like it has an authentic Chinese or Kung Fu feeling as you see the action in this movie. But for sure, we do see things come in from other systems as well, but it doesn't mess up the flow of the type of martial arts that we're seeing. Actually, Iron Fist could really take a note from this. So that's just a hint, Netflix, if you're watching. But it's really cool how they stay pretty consistent with that. And I figured it would be good to show you the Widow and juxtapose her to Sunny, because they have different types of weapons, but they're pretty consistent in how they wield those weapons. So now let's move to open hand techniques, and then we will be done. But pay attention to this, you guys, because I want you to now look for it when you get into the show, the series that are upcoming. Look to see if they're consistent with the weapons and what that offhand should be doing after seeing this video. But now let's get into open hand. All right, guys, so let's get into a little bit of the open hand stuff real quickly. And all open hand means is without a weapon. So I just want to highlight the 4 different boxes here, and then we'll wrap it up. So guys, check out Sunny's fist right there. You see that? See how that last knuckle is pronounced? We call that a single knuckle strike, or some people, I believe, call it a phoenix fist, or they might even call it a dragon strike. But it's designed to really to kind of cause a piercing pain, and I've been hit by it. It hurts. If you want to know what it feels like, it kind of feels like a sharp pain at first, and then it just radiates at the impact point. It is not a pleasant feeling. So I just wanted to highlight that, again, giving us authentic Chinese martial arts, not really just kind of making stuff up. This is a real strike, not just made up for the series. Here we see Kung Lee, who plays one of the monks in the series. He's actually performing an action from a form called Eagle. And for sure, this is wire work unless he can jump that high. That's just amazing if he can. But check out the hands here. What I want to highlight are the strikes and some of the characteristics of the form Eagle. So Eagle is designed to be a form that strikes very quickly. So it's a fast striking form. And the strikes are designed to really do 3 things. Number one, they are designed to tear or claw. They're designed to crush, and they're designed to claw and pull. So let me give you an example. We learned kind of a strike where it's very similar to that eagle's claw. The first part of the strike, you see that where I'm moving my arrow there, is designed to hit the person in the throat and to kind of crush or damage the windpipe. Then your fingers turn in and close once you've done that, and then you pull out. So it's designed to really do major damage in the throat area. Once you've crushed it, you try and get as much of that windpipe as you can in your claw, and then you try and rip it out. So you might be thinking, whoa, that's pretty brutal. It's probably pretty hard to do. Yes, I'm sure it is hard to do, but folks that do Eagle train their hands for it, and I don't know that anybody's able to actually rip out somebody's throat, because that's a lot of force. But I do know that if people are training for it, it can definitely damage and crush your windpipe, and that's not a good situation for you. But anyway, that is another example of, again, them giving us authentic Kung Fu in the show. Now let's go to MK here, who looks like he's doing a windmill, right? For those of you guys who remember breakdancing, but this is a move that we actually call the Iron Broom. It's designed to do 2 things. Number one, it's designed to attack the legs while at the same time bringing you back onto your feet. Well, those are actually the 2 things, and there might be more uses for it in other systems. Now you see, it looks like MK here is actually about to roll on his head. you should not be doing that. This motion, the rolling of this motion, is really more so done on your shoulder. Your head should not be dragging the ground because that will not be good for your body. And then let's go to Kung Lee here as he's being attacked by Sunny's sword, and the end result of this is that he breaks the sword. This hand going in that direction, this hand going in the opposite direction, and he puts pressure on the sword. Obviously, I would not recommend that you do this with the sword because you're going to get your hands cut all up. But this is designed to maybe attack a punch that's being thrown at you and where you break the arm at the elbow joint. So again, the elbow joint would be right between there, but no, and normally if it was that kind of strike, the palms would be up because the fingers would be too weak to accomplish something like that. You have to push from the palms with both palms going in opposite direction, breaking the joint. So that's how that works, and it is cool. You know, this season really does give us the feel of authentic Chinese martial arts. And as I said before, there's some stuff mixed in there. There's wire work. There's all kinds of stuff going on in there. But it doesn't feel, again, hodgepodgey. We always feel like we're looking at a Chinese system of martial arts. And I think it does a really good job of that. So, guys, I just wanted to give you that. And hopefully you found it helpful. So, all right, you guys, hopefully you found that interesting or helpful, maybe even. But I did want to talk about this because I was bothered by that comment that was made on Quora about the martial arts just really kind of being made for movie stuff and not really real or practical application. Now, I'm not saying that there is not some stuff in this series that is definitely done for theatrics, the wire work, and even some of the movements. I know that in martial arts movies, a lot of the movements are pronounced or they're done in certain ways to come across as well as they can on screen or as dynamic as they can on screen. I get that, and I'm sure Into the Badlands is no exception. My point here is that this show really does do a lot of work to display authentic martial arts, and it comes across that way. So that's the point I'm really trying to make here. They do a lot with the fight choreography here. This is not kind of easy or cheap or just let's throw some punches and kicks and make them happy. They really get into this with detail, and if you have the eye to see it, you can see that that's happening. So I just wanted to say that about this show, and that's one of the reasons why I did this video. Guys, as always, thank you so much. Please make sure that you share this. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to do something. We're going to have to start a campaign where AMC gives this show more exposure because more people need to know that this show is there. I think that it has a fair enough fan base, but it could be much bigger. I mean, there's so much going on in this show that I haven't even gotten into, but I see more almost every time I watch this show. The other day I was just looking at the costume and set design and looking at the consistency there and even some clever things they've done with that make this show so good. So guys, please make sure that you like this, give it a thumbs up, please share it. You guys subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Looking to talk more and more about this with you if you're into the show. Well, what else do I want to say? Oh, don't forget to hit the notification bell, that ding, so that you can find out what's coming next. We will be getting into Season 2, Episode 4, where we get to meet the rest of the I'm so excited about that. So excited to meet the rest of the Barons and to see how all of that plays out. So guys, again, thank you so much. And with that, I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.